Hello, everyone. Andy Jacob here with .com magazine. And today's show is a very, very unique show. We've got Birgit Pauli-Haack. She is the founder and CEO of Pauli Systems. And Birgit is a thought leader. She is one of the leading thought leaders in the WordPress platform. So that's one of the reasons I was very excited to get her to come on board today for the show. And in addition to that, she has a specialty in helping nonprofits with her online business agency. So Birgit, welcome to the show today.
Well, thank you so much, Andy. It's wonderful to be here.
Now, Birgit, you've been able to build a very nice agency by focusing and concentrating on helping clients in multiple verticals, but one of the verticals that you're especially in tune with and have made an expertise out of is the nonprofit space. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, when I came over to the United States, I wasn't allowed to earn any money. So I volunteered for a local nonprofit, and it was the nonprofit Freenet. And the Freenet had a team of volunteers that put nonprofits on the web in the 90s. So out of that, I had a lot of contact locally with nonprofits, and I liked that idea to have a cause and to help those who make other people's lives better, to help them out with technology. So that came about like that. And over the course of the time that Pauli Systems is now 18 years old, was founded in 2002, and it was, and with the contacts with the Freenet and the other nonprofits, I had a contact with a lot of nonprofits, and they contacted me, and I helped them organize their databases and organize, all kind of ITs. And now we're doing almost exclusively websites, CRMs, connection with the website. CRM is constituent relationship management, and also help them with their digital literacy on their product delivery and these kind of things, especially now with the focus on online delivery and online meetings and these kind of things. Yeah.
Well, that makes a lot of sense, Birgit. And I would imagine that nonprofits, they have a lot of use for database management with their donor list and the people that are involved volunteering at the nonprofits and things like that. And you help them integrate that into their system. Is that sort of one of the things that you do with your program?
Yes, and that's one of our things that we do in terms of, so most nonprofits have about 25 to 30 Excel spreadsheets on all kind of different things like events planning and volunteers, as you said, and donor management, memberships, and also constituents, beneficiaries. And we integrate them all into a single database. We're using open source for that. It's called CiviCRM. And that works very closely with the WordPress content management system. So that's why we kind of do the two-pronged approach there.
Oh, that's fantastic. And for the people watching the show today, if they were to Google your name, a lot comes up about you being a real thought leader in the WordPress platform. How did you become such a notoriety in the WordPress platform? How did you become someone that's sort of a go-to person for different aspects of the WordPress platform?
Well, it came about, so WordPress is a huge open source community, and they have these local and also larger meetups on meetupwordpress.com. Meetup.com WordPress. If you look for it, there are local 800 local meetups in the whole world. And I started I'm a community organizer, so I started using the platform, and the previous organizer said they want to step down and said, well, I could do that. I can help the community to learn more about WordPress. And so it kind of snowballed a bit. Got involved in the community team. I'm a deputy on the community team. I'm also involved in the documentation team in WordPress. But the real spark was that I specialized in the new block editor, and I founded a website called the GutenbergTimes.com, where we publish a lot about the new block editor, and I have development resources as well as theme developers resources. So I got involved in a lot of different areas of the WordPress community that all kind of geared up towards the new editor. That's something totally new. After 15 years, WordPress going to change the editor. It was a controversial kind of thing because everything new is kind of disrupts a little bit. So I was, so we are publishing community resources for that. So it has been a great inspiration. Also, what can be really done for WordPress, not only with WordPress, but also for content creators that need to have more tools on hand to publish their landing pages on all that. Yeah. So we help a lot of businesses and nonprofits to do that themselves, so they don't need a consultant to just make some changes on the website.
See, that's fantastic. So when someone hires Birgit with, Pauli Systems, Birgit has a team that works with her. So obviously, someone that's sort of a novice that runs a nonprofit that doesn't understand about open source software or about WordPress and that type of thing, tell us how you sort of approach those people that come to you and say, Birgit, I need a website, I need some help, I've got some donors, but I don't really understand anything about technology. Why don't you share with us sort of the process that you go through to get somebody onboarded from a nonprofit?
Yeah. So for our constituency, we do this. We're first going to think about what's the business model. Even if it's a nonprofit, the business model needs to be clear to the donors and what the donors are supposed to do on the website. And we kind of talk through the process. What are you doing? How do you deliver? How do you want to connect? And it does not help to have no technology background anymore. There needs to, you don't need to be a programmer, but you need to be able to use your email. You need to be able to use your Google Docs or a Google Drive or something like that. And we help with that. But there is a certain level of technology involved. And it needs to be, because you need to the context of it. Yeah, this is data, and that needs to be in. You need to make sure that the data is accurate when you send out letters. Yeah, is it in the postal standard? Yeah, so we have software for that we can kind of plug in if they enter the data, the address of a donor, the physical address, that it will be checked towards the USPS database and make sure that that's a standard format. Also knowing, is that email address of that donor, is that a correct one? Yeah, finding that out. Merging data is one of the crucial part, because donors feel they are not heard enough when they are in the database twice and nobody knows them. Yeah, so that's certainly something. So we help with all that operation and make sure that the website is functioning. It's not only functioning, but also accessible, mobile, responsive. And also we help nonprofits. Sometimes we have the feeling that just because a computer is involved, the messages that are sent also need to sound robotic. So we kind of help them that even if it's a computer sending out on automation, it can still be personable and have additional value for the donor to read that email, or the interested party. Yeah. So we talk through all those different areas. We even think, okay, so how would you structure your donation program? Is it a one-time thing, or do you want a recurring? Do you want to call them members because they're a recurring database on a recurring payment? So you probably want to have a different content strategy for that. And we also talk through to that experience, donor experience on nonprofits' websites.
So this makes a lot of sense. So my wife and I, Kristen, we donate to some charities, and we get emails and we get letters in the mail coming out. And, I never really thought about it, but that's all based on some type of database and some type of platform that's been built, probably with some type of intelligence in it as well, so that they know when to send the right email when, or when to send the right letter when to the potential donors. And for, for nonprofits, thinking about hiring a company to help them kind of get through that maze and get through that minefield, if you will, you sound like you really have the perfect solution because of your background in being a WordPress expert and one of the thought leaders in the WordPress community. Is that the way it works?
Well, it is pretty much. You need to have a lot of experience, and also know what the pain points are of nonprofits. Sometimes it's money, but then we are kind of a little bit, and we have other. So I have this. There's also a local nonprofit technology club where peers come together for also nonprofit work. And kind of share their own experiences so they can help their peers with technology ideas and get the concepts across. So it's a different way to fundraise, and it's a different way to approach things when you have a multiple levels, kind of a tier to multiple levels. So we do a lot of pro bono work as well. We select every year a nonprofit that we care about on the cause, that we lead through a whole transition from a maybe Excel spreadsheet kind of way to a donor-based system, and also help the most of them volunteer board members to kind of think about differently of what their role would be. So if you have members that are just a story here, a local story we had, they switched from a paper membership application to an online membership application. And of course, not everybody was technology fit to go through that. So they needed to have on the organizational side someone who is the user support person, pretty much. And we needed to train them and also get into the mindset, what can all go wrong? Because of course, there is not a whole lot of people have different windows, different browsers, different technologies. So there's a little bit more involved than just having a consultant put a form up and then everything goes automatic.
That makes a lot of sense. Now, Birgit, we know with WordPress that you're better off building something right the first time versus having to go back and sort of fix it afterwards. But I would imagine that there are some nonprofits that probably didn't really do it right the first time, and they want to go back and sort of reconnect all the pieces that they missed the first time. Do you also help companies kind of reconnect and kind of put the pieces back in place that they should have had at the beginning?
Yes, we do this we like actually to do that, just to kind of see what's out there and how to help them to get back on track, so to speak. There is a lot of themes out there that are old, to kind of put a new theme in, or a page builder that is not future-proof for the new one, or it doesn't work well with a donation plugin or with a solution like Civi CRM, because the pages need to be standardized. So there are some hurdles to go over on that, but we manage that very well, and it's not an additional cost factor in terms of when you implement one of the better content management systems or CRMs with it. But it needs to be done right, you're right. But WordPress is also a very good platform that can actually grow with a nonprofit. So in the first 2 to 3 years, it's just content, and a payment form, and then you can go the next step. And with more funding, you can also do more technology-wise. And if you stay with a consultant that had the first strategy in place, knows that consultant knows a lot about your organization already, and switching is sometimes taking the nonprofit back to an additional, to somebody else, kind of have a different strategy. So it kind of pays off to stay with the same consultant if it's an organization or an agency that has a wide experience in the world, in the nonprofit world. Yeah.
Well, that's really great straight talk, and it really makes a lot of sense, Birgit. If I'm thinking about your agency, the Pauli Systems agency, and I contact you and I want you to assist me in all the good work that you're doing. And by the way, I invite our listeners and the people watching the show to go to Birgit's website because she's got some phenomenal testimonials on there. How do you work? In other words, with Pauli Systems, do I get you? Do I get some other experts to help me? How does the whole process work with your company?
So we have, we're a small team of 6. We have been a remote company for the last 2 years with a graphic designer, a PHP programmer, database specialist, and the project manager. That's me. Yeah, so I'm the kind of the person that works with the customers or with the clients or with a nonprofit organization. We also ask the nonprofit to dedicate a person who is the project manager on the other side. So we are not kind of going through 6 or 7 different decision-making process kind of thing. And then we walk it through. We make a plan on how we do the content strategy, we do the, okay, is it a membership site, is it a donation site, and these, we map that out. And we have standardized task lists, but then we also get the designer in and say, okay, so what is the homepage gonna look like? What is your vision? And then we have three different mock-up, so to speak. And then from that mock-up, we kind of decide on one and say, okay, we do piecemeal, take the menu from 1, take the header section from 3, and do the footer section from 2, and then we make a first mock-up. And then we do 2 or 3 rounds of design on that, and then we'll put it into a theme for WordPress. So when the staging site comes up, so next step is the staging site, and when the staging site come up, it has almost all the design features already built in, and you can see the website grow, with additional content, like a cover block, the call to action, and all that kind of things.
So this is a complete process. This is something that Pauli Systems has been able to put together after many, many years of being experts in the WordPress platform, with her expertise in that platform, as well as her expertise and love for helping nonprofits. So these nonprofits, it's a tough business, the nonprofit world. And for people opening up a nonprofit, the last thing they want to worry about is not having their online presence that manifests itself into providing the nonprofit the type of support and donors and relationships that they really need to build a positive, powerful nonprofit. So in your experience dealing with nonprofits and founders of nonprofits, this is more of an entrepreneurial question. What's the thing that these founders of nonprofits you see? What's the one thing that separates the ones that really become successful versus the ones that have more of a challenging time?
Well, definitely the capabilities to build a big network that then when they know their audience, who is interested in helping them. So some of them, if, for instance, domestic violence has a twofold thing. So one is that previous people who survived domestic violence are actually supporting those organization, but also those that are in the more feminist space or empowering women space. Knowing that audience is critical to gear the the copy on the website as well as the email and outreach copy towards the audience. That's something that most of the time we can't help. We have copywriters on staff that actually help out with the copy when we don't get it delivered. What we also do is, okay, if the founder doesn't have the time to write the founder's letter, so to speak, or you want to have a video or something like that, then we have our former journalist, copywriter, talk to that founder and interview them to write the copy for the website. That's also something, where we have sometimes delivery delays in terms of copy because it's something that people haven't found their voice yet. And sometimes it feels like you're talking to a bureaucrat rather than a founder who has passion for that. But it's also an idea that nonprofits shouldn't be built on person, but the connections that you make with the other people will always be a personal connection. So it's kind of trying to find the balance between a personal appeal or making it sound that it's a bigger organization than it is. And that's kind of sometimes trips some copywriters up, or the nonprofit as well. So a friend of mine formed the phrase, people don't want to talk to a 501c3.
All right.
They want to talk to people. Yeah. So and that's kind of something we want to help with the copy, with the copywriters that are former journalists that also know audience or write towards audiences. So it's really an interesting field there. Yeah, but it's not based on technology. That's all. Yeah, how you be online and not so much. Be.
I think that's very interesting, Birgit, because you talk about these, and we'll call them entrepreneurs or founders. They are entrepreneurs in their own right, the people that are starting nonprofits. But you mentioned these people having to sort of find their own voice. And I find that to be very, very interesting because they have to find their own voice. And then after they find their own voice, they have to figure out, with your help, with Pauli Systems' help, how to take that voice and sort of make it connect through technology. And that's one of the things that you're an expert at, is talking to these founders, helping them find their voice if they can't find it, and then figuring out through technology how they can broadcast in their own voice to make that type of connection with people, because they don't want to talk to a 501c3. They want to talk to a person that has that passion. And I find in many nonprofits, you feel through technology that you're not really talking to a real person. Mm-hmm. They kind of lose that grassroots kind of connection. And that's one of the reasons why you've been so successful at your company, by helping these people connect in a way that's meaningful to the people that are listening.
Yes. Yeah. Well, you phrased it much better than I could ever.
Well, that's awesome, Birgit. That's awesome. Well, listen, I wanted to ask you just one other question, because we do have a lot of entrepreneurs that watch the show, and you've been able to create this very successful online business agency with Pauli Systems, and you have a number of people that work virtually with you. And a lot of people always ask me, they say, Andy, what's the most important thing when you speak to a successful entrepreneur like I'm doing now? What's the most important thing that they look for in hiring someone to work under their umbrella? Or what's the thing that they're really most interested in having somebody join their team? So when you're looking for people to join your team, what's the number one thing that you're looking for so that they can join your Pauli Systems enterprise?
So, I don't have a process for that, because Pauli Systems is kind of around my own personality. And also so it needs to be the chemical, the chemistry needs to work. And the other part is that it's all about the client. So that approach, we don't have pride of authorship or design. So if it doesn't fit what the customer wants, yeah, our design can be even perfecter than anything else. If that's not fitting what they want and need, we have to let go and start from scratch. And we need to be ready to do that. Personally, of course, also financially, but that's part of our system. But we deal with that. But it's also something that, okay, we also have a fast, so our clients are with us, many of our clients are with us for 8 to 10 to 15 years.
Wow.
And that's kind of almost from the start of the agency. And I think learning with staying in the field and learning with it was crucial. That also our graphic designer and our PHP developer and debaters, they are staying with us for over those years as well, because they learn. You know, I reinvent the company probably every 3 to 4 years, that we kind of do a different approach or kind of do a different process or looking at different ways on doing things. And we need the flexibility in our team as well. Yeah, and so we invest in training, we invest in giving time to learn, but that's certainly, there needs to be a willingness to do that. Yeah.
That's awesome. Now, Birgit, you mentioned the chemistry. So you have people that have great chemistry with you. They also obviously have great chemistry with your customers and clients. The people that you have in the Pauli Systems enterprise, they're very consumer centric, and they have great chemistry with not only you and but also your customers as well. And that's, I think, one of the keys to your success. And I want to thank you so much for coming on the show today. I really wanted to speak with you. It's not too often that you get to meet sort of a zeitgeist in a particular area, and you've been able to take the nonprofit space and combine it with your expertise in WordPress and systems to make a lot of happy clients and a lot of people, put people in the position with their nonprofits to do great things for the world. So you're really doing a true win-win-win situation in a lot of different ways. And thank you so much for coming on the show. You've been a true delight.
Well, thank you so much, Andrew, and it was a wonderful to be here with you on the show. Thank you very much for inviting us.
Thank you, Birgit.
Thank you.